And quite frankly, that could have been me. That could have been me, because I think if I worked a long day, 12-hour day, I was tired, I was hurt, but I thought nothing of it, that it would probably go away with some rest. I mean, it very well could have been me.
Well, and I think a custom and practice that's set up like that by any employer every day to check off at the end of a shift, hurt or not hurt, and then making you stay there without compensation, waiting for a safety man, or with compensation, be that as it may, you need to go home to your family. You need to, you know, it's almost like saying, if you don't report it right here, right then and there, and tomorrow, if you're really hurt, and sometimes the injuries don't exhibit themselves till a day or two later where it's really swollen up or debilitating, then, you know, you almost lost that remedy for him because of this risk management that I think is way over the top. You know, saying, are you hurt or not hurt at the end of the day? Admit or deny, you know, I mean, and that's it, you know, that's ridiculous. I mean, you know, so, and in my opinion, Joel, you know, I'm just going to be candid here, and I'm not certainly far to the left either. I'm a moderate person in my beliefs and also in my practice, but I will say this. I think that in the last 8 years, that corporate America and the business of corporate America has taken over as more of a precedent for, you know, what is important. That what's good for big business is good for the injured worker, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think that's necessarily true. However, that's just my opinion. Based on what you've worked on with injured workers day in, day out, how do you see corporate America? You know, we've looked at maybe the example of an employer, mid to small employer. How about when they work for a big corporation or a big client? I mean, is it even magnified more, this side of behavior, where you need to go to our company doctor? Oh, by the way, sorry, we didn't tell you. You can go to any doctor of your choice. Are you seeing that more and more?
Yes and no. I mean, I can't categorically say that I see it all the time. With the bigger the company, the more horrible the treatment is. No, I couldn't say that. There are some companies, the company's only as good as the people running the company. And you're going to have really good people running the areas of the company, and you might have the other extreme in another area of the company. I've had some cases where, yeah, it's really bad. The employers may say, well, why don't you wait? Why don't you just see if it'll go away on your own? And so the injured worker, not knowing what to do, maybe they won't go see a doctor. Maybe they'll just trivialize it and wait a couple of weeks, and you know, several weeks pass, and the employer, safety man, etc., might try a home remedy. I've seen this before, where somebody injured their eyes, and the safety man was putting cut potatoes on the injured worker's eyes,
and didn't send them
to the doctor, didn't send them to the ER. And I don't know, maybe there is something to it. But
you touched on something there with, well, the potato example is far out. You know, that's like the old wives' tale. Put potatoes on corneal abrasions. Crazy. But, you know, at any time, you know, they send them to this company A or Dr. Y, you know who you are. You know, the issue is, do they ever get sent to the ER? I mean, I mean, I don't want to go to extreme, but say they amputated a finger, or they had a crushing injury. I mean, come on, you got to go to a company doctor for that, or you go in a Memorial Medical Center to the trauma surgeons.
Well, I personally, I would hope that they go to the emergency room. If it's an injury like that, I mean, you have the choice to go to the doctor. If it's an emergency, you go to the emergency room.
And workman's comp will cover that.
If it's workers' comp will cover it.
They should.
They should cover it. They should cover it. Now, granted, you might have some bills because you haven't made a workers' comp claim because it's an emergency, so you didn't have time to fill out your workers' comp claim forms. You went straight to the emergency room. But technically, once you get your bills and the workers' comp claim is set up, those bills are supposed to be submitted to the workers' comp carrier. And
for the injured worker out there who doesn't have time, while he's almost losing his finger, to fill out the paperwork for this, I mean, bureaucratic system. I'm sorry, Joe. I've been listening to you for 40 minutes about this, and it's a nightmare. No wonder doctors head for the hills and don't want to be a workers' compensation doctor, unless you're the one who gets a lot of business for the employers. But I'm just saying, you know, they go in there. Are they going to tell the nurse and the doctor, shouldn't they? I mean, would you advise people to say, hey, this is a workers' compensation claim. Can you put that on the file? Can you put that on my emergency room record?
I think it's extremely important for the injured worker to provide a clear history. This happened at work. It just happened. This is what I was doing. And it's equally important for the registered nurse or whoever is performing the intake, the client history, the patient history, to document properly. The chief complaint is this. The mechanism of injury is this. This is work-related. If it's not documented in the medical records, guess what? The insurance company is now, you have just armed the insurance company. You have given them ammunition to fight the little guy, to fight the injured worker, because then they're going to come back and they're going to look at those medical records and say, you went to the emergency room, you didn't mention that this was work-related.
Well, and the other thing that you bring up is, I don't know how the workers' compensation system is, but on a lot of insurances, you've got these non-doctors, non-nurses, non-healthcare providers who've never seen the inside of a hospital other than when they were born or their wife gave birth. And they're making decisions about people's injuries and the extent of the injuries and saying, oh, you don't have this and you don't have that. And who made them the doctor? They don't know anything about it. I've talked to so many bonehead, and I'm sorry to say it, bonehead adjusters out there, and there are many good insurance adjusters, but there are many real smart aleck, real callous ones. They hear attorney on the phone, they get a big attitude, and they start trivializing the injury. I have it to my face where I submit the medical records. They've gone to a legitimate physical therapy place, and what they do is they send it back to you and say, this was not even a set-up physical therapy thing, and then they're all over the place trying to criticize chiropractic medicine when they have no license to do that. They have no experience. They have no qualifications to pick on a chiropractor or an orthopod or anyone. And are they doing that in some instances with this workers' compensation system where you have these unqualified adjusters with no medical training making decisions about a person's life for the rest of their life and their compensation? Actually,
yes. Unfortunately, that does happen. A lot of times it is the adjuster. The adjuster is the one with the purse strings. Is he or she going to accept this injury as a compensable injury? We might have a very good set of facts, but for whatever the reason may be, the adjuster may just simply deny, well, we're going to deny this anyway, and there might not be a good reason to deny it. I mean, I've had cases where there was an injured worker, torn meniscus, knee problems. Almost a year later, there was no rhyme or reason for this denial of the claim. It was witnessed. It happened at a work-related exercise. We go to a benefit review conference, and finally, a year later at the benefit review conference, it gets accepted. But guess what? It should have been accepted a year before. And now,
no excuse.
Now the injured worker has lost money because they had to hire an attorney to fight for them when the insurance company should have never denied that claim to begin with. I think it's a real shame that the attorney's fees are not paid directly from the insurance company myself. It's a shame that it comes out of the injured workers' disability benefits.
And that's the way they have it nowadays. And I think it's because, you know, there's been ultra-conservative movement favoring the insurance lobby, favoring the workers' compensation. And I think we need to get a backswing because I think most people out there don't have their own business or don't have a corporation, and they're the ones working for those corporations. So, you know, a lot of these people are just, it's insurmountable. The system as you describe it and the reality of it, so much paperwork. You want an independent doctor, good luck. 90% of the doctors or more out there don't want to even deal with workers' compensation. And then it's the fox guarding the hen house if you get some of this in, where you've got some of these doctors who are putting their interests of their company, meaning the clinic or Clinic A or Clinic B. And we're talking generally, we're not talking about any specific company, we're talking about nationwide practice.
That's
because
right.
This system is set up nationwide for workers, isn't it?
That's right.